I'm trying to make heads or tails out of this new television agreement for Major League Baseball. It might be easier to list the stations that won't be showing MLB in 2026 than are.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans. Welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We're at your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. Today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account and use the code Locked On MLB. You get $20 off your first purchase. Find us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever they're calling it these days, and on Instagram. And I'm your pal Sully. I'm here at, follow me at Sully Baseball Podcast Instagram. But the best way to follow me and communicate with me is right here on the YouTube page, right down below. Just pulling back the curtain a little bit, I am recording this episode ahead of time because I'm taking a few days off around Thanksgiving. So, there's no trivia question to answer. The trivia question that I had asked in my last show, which was what pitcher was credited with the first postseason victory in Marlins history, that's still up for grabs because that episode technically hasn't posted yet when I'm recording this. I'm recording this a little bit ahead of time, and but I'm dropping this on the Friday after Thanksgiving, so I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Whether that was with a lot of family members, with your friends, or some of you just want to be alone, and that's fine too. And if you are alone, I hope you're listening to us because we are the number one sports podcasting network out there. Hey, let's talk. I want to talk a little bit about this new television agreement, which is kind of labyrinthine. It's really complicated. There's a lot of different outlets that are going to be showing baseball. And there's some positive things to that. There's some things I'd like to see baseball change with that. And it is a reaction to the fact that we just had the most popular World Series we've had in a long time. And I still believe there is a simpler way to do all this, and one that is keeping in mind that baseball is a business and this is capitalism and they want to make some money. I understand that. I'm not trying to say we should just have everything be free and run through the daffodils. But let's just break down a little bit of what has happened here. It was announced last week that Major League Baseball had a 3-year rights deal. This I find interesting. It's not a very long-term deal. And there is still the possibility of a lockout taking place in 2027. I've mentioned this before. I mentioned this again. It is so stupid that that's even coming up. Baseball is making money hand over fist. It has a huge jolt of popularity, and it is not the players versus the owners, as it has been in the past. It's 28 owners versus the Mets and the Dodgers. And if baseball had a commissioner, and do you know what? Well, if baseball had a strong commissioner, they would get the owners together and figure this out, and everyone continue making money. I have been very critical of Rob Manfred. I have been. And he has given us right to be critical. But I got to give him credit where credit is due. Some of the changes that happened in baseball under his watch have been positive. Yes, you have the Manfred man, the person at second base to start the extra innings, which is fractally stupid. But pitch clock, I think, has worked. I think the expanded playoffs have worked. I think, um, I think the expansion of instant replay has worked. There has been a bunch of things that have worked. Some of the interesting games that are played in the middle of the season, whether it was the Field of Dreams game, or the game in Birmingham, or the game they tried to do in the rain at the racetrack, it didn't quite work out. But you know what? It's it was trying something. And yes, there's still a lot of things I will really heavily criticize of Manfred, but some positive things have happened under his watch. And if we're going to trash the guy, we got to give him credit when credit is due. And if he can get these other owners in line and avoid a lockout, everyone's going to make a lot of money. And money can be made when media outlets want a piece of baseball. Baseball's popularity is going up. A big reason why baseball popularity is going up is there is a mega superstar in the middle of it. When you have a huge superstar in the middle of it, and baseball is figuring out that not only it's a huge superstar, it's one that brings in international money, and it's a fellow who's showing up in the big game, that would be Shohei Ohtani. Baseball can build on the fact that they have one of the biggest stars in sports on the planet Earth playing their sport right now. They couldn't capitalize on Mike Trout. They didn't really capitalize on Ken Griffey Jr. or Barry Bonds, but they're capitalizing on Shohei Ohtani. Now, it could be that I'm in Los Angeles and things are tipped a certain way, but the ratings for the series seem to go through the roof. And interest in Ohtani goes through the roof as well. We had the most watched baseball game in 34 years. Don't compare it to the NFL. That's like comparing a good like a good Coen Brothers film with the latest Avatar movie. Avatar's got to make more money. Okay, it's a different animal. The NFL is a different animal. But when you're seeing that ESPN, who initially wanted out of the baseball agreement and came back and they may have fleeced baseball a little bit, but they still want in there. NBC is in the baseball production in showing games for the first time in a quarter of a century. And Netflix, who's doing a crapload of really good baseball documentaries and a lot of really good content, is going to be showing some games as well, along with TBS is still on there. Fox is still in there. And sadly, Apple TV is still in there. So we're seeing there's going to be baseball is all over the map. But that shows that some of these media outlets want in because they get the fact that in terms of live broadcasting and in terms of having a daily content, baseball is one of the few things that people will watch live and talk about live and communicate live, because other shows that you watch, you can binge it, you can record it or whatnot and watch at your own leisure. You got to watch baseball live. And for a lot of these outlets, do you know what? It's probably going to be a lucrative thing. Now, there's a couple of things of it that I find very confusing. There's one dinosaur in the middle of this. And as we take a look at it, the fact that it's a 3-year plan gives me, I don't know, a little bit of optimism that baseball might be creeping towards the exact package for their viewers that they should have been doing all along. NFL season is here. We're winding it down, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle between long lines, login screens, prices jumping up at checkout. It's frustrating. That's why I use Game Time. It's the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. Game Time is fast, it's easy, and it's backed by that Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all the fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. I've used Game Time. I use it for tickets at Dodger Stadium. That's how I got my tickets to go to the National League Championship Series. And let me tell you, it's so convenient. Couple of taps. I saw great deals. I saw great deals in the section I want to sit in, and I get to see the view from my seat. Now, the zone deals, they say, hey, I like this section of the stadium or the ballpark or wherever you're going, and they'll pick the section. They'll get you the best deal. But then you could see the view, and I could see it right there, the view right from there. I can look left, look right, and it's fantastic. And it's faster, it's cheaper, and it's less stressful than any other way I've bought my tickets. So what you got to do is you got to download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, and go. Download The Game Time app. When should you do it? I'll tell you exactly when you should do it. You should do it today. Hey, thanks so much for making the Locked On Podcast Network the number one sports podcasting network out there. It's fantastic. Okay, so here's some of the things that are going to happen. Netflix, who's by the way, they just I'm going to watch this weekend their Expos documentary because it looks fantastic. They are going to be doing the opening night game. It's going to be on Netflix. The Giants and the Yankees, and I'm saying this out loud to my mom right now, who's a big Giants fan. You're going to be saying, where the hell is, and my mom grew up a Yankee fan, and now she's a San Francisco Giant fan. And she's going to be saying, where the hell is the game? It's going to be on Netflix, Mom, on, on March 25th. I'm telling you right in your calendar now, because you are going to call me that night saying, where the hell is the game? So that's where it's going to be then. And Netflix is also going to be covering the Home Run Derby. And it's also, there's going to be some games that are going to be played there, including they're redoing the Field of Dreams game, which I wish they were doing something a little more creative than trying to, do that one again, but that's fine. And then they'll deliver some of the World Baseball Classic games, but only in Japan. It's weird. Things are weird here. And NBC, which for years was a staple. In fact, the great Joe Garagiola, who I believe is the greatest baseball broadcaster of all time, had his home in NBC for years and years and years. They're going to be taking over Sunday Night Baseball from ESPN. And they are going to be, so you're going to see it there. And NBC is also going to have the Wild Card Series and a couple of primetime games, Labor Day games, opening day, and a couple other times they're going to be showing major games there. ESPN, who at one point was thinking about getting out of it until they realized, hey, wait, we need to fill some content on here. They're also going to be doing some of their games. MLB Network will continue to do their games, and both NBC and MLB Network will be taking games in the Wild Card Series and in the Division Series. But TBS and Fox will still be doing the lion's share of the playoffs, including Fox will be continuing to do the World Series. And say what you want about Fox, but they do a good job. Fox did a really good job of covering it. I was not someone who disliked Joe Buck, but I kind of am glad that he's moved on because I didn't like having the same announcer every year. I think Joe Davis did a really good job, and I think that John Smoltz was considerably less grumpy. He's been really grumpy in the past. It was a little less grumpy, or maybe I don't know. The World Series was so exciting that even John Smoltz couldn't hate it. That could be exactly what's happening here. Again, this is all over the map. There are going to be games that are happening. There are going to be moments you're going to say, where the hell is the game? And by that, I mean my mom. But one of the things that I find interesting is that ESPN seems to be getting into the local television market for a lot of teams. And they're going to be picking up and producing some of the local broadcasts. Now, the FanDuel network is going to continue to do theirs. And full disclosure, FanDuel is a sponsor of this particular podcast. And then of course, you have like Nesson and SNY and Yes and Masson, who are some of the local companies doing it. But you're starting to see ESPN, who at one point was the epicenter of the sports world. They aren't anymore. And they want to gain some bit of relevance again. And so they're going to be, it looks like they're starting to gobble up some of the local sports broadcasting. Now, one of the things that I found initially disheartening was that ESPN is basically be gobbling up MLB TV. Now, the MLB TV app is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. The interface is easy to use. It's easy to find where the games are. It's really great. The ESPN app is awful. It might as well be an AOL chat room. It seems to be stuck in what the internet was the last time ESPN ruled sports. It is a very bad app and interface. And it looks like ESPN will be running how you watch baseball on your app. But it will also mean if they gobble up enough of these local broadcasts, you may see fewer blackouts. You may see more national games that used to be unavailable in certain areas. And it's it makes me feel it makes me feel a little bit uneasy when you're handing it back over to ESPN because it's a little bit like, hey, ESPN ruled sports for a long time and maybe it's time to turn it over to someone else. And I do still have a solution for that. But here's the thing I find interesting. Baseball is putting their chips all around the broadcasting world. As I said, Apple, Fox, Turner, NBC, Netflix, ESPN, their own self with the MLB network. It's all over the map. And there's going to be frustration when you go, where the hell is the game? But because it's only a 3-year deal, I wonder, is baseball trying to see, okay, who's going to be our best partner? Why don't we there are they spreading their chips around the table to try to see which partner is the best one to work with? And if they work well with ESPN, and all of a sudden that becomes where they land. If they work well with NBC, if they work well with Netflix, I wonder if that's what's really happening here. If this is a way to say, what is our real partnership going to be? And it's not a huge long-term deal. How are we going to make this work? And if that's the case, then I find it pretty intriguing. If it's the case that they're going to partner with ESPN and the ESPN app is going to include more and more games, then maybe they'll see that it's more profitable to have them include all the GD games. I don't know. It's so confusing and all over the map that even baseball, which seems to always find ways to take a bazooka to their foot and blow it off, this seems like this is a trial run, and of which one of the years in this 3-year deal may be, if there's a work stoppage, would be a lost cause. They've got to be able to stop this work stoppage. They got to keep this momentum going. What have we been doing here? But there's the other part that I've talked about over and over again that baseball has to do. They have to, in their own way, emulate how well very unlikely bits of media and entertainment became global phenomena because they appealed to their core fans. Yes, I brought this up before and I'm going to bring it up again. Baseball needs to learn what Marvel learned and films like Lord of the Rings learned. And that is the best way to create a phenomenon is to not think about the huge wide net you're going to try to get, but focus on the core fans and create that sense of community. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get on the action than FanDuel. The aforementioned FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of a game or you want to ride a hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to the fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making a late push. So right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So head to fanduel.com, sign up, and play your game with FanDuel, which is the official sports betting partner of the National Basketball Association. Thanks so much for making Locked On MLB your first listen, and thanks so much for making us the #1 sports podcasting network. You know, if we went back to like the year 2000, the last time NBC had the postseason, and yeah, they had it in last time they had the World Series was in 1999. They had the League Championship Series in 2000, and since then they've not had any postseason baseball. Let's go back to then. Bob Costas calling the games in along with I believe it was Joe Morgan. And if I told you then that the Lord of the Rings would have been a huge motion picture phenomenon, and that obscure, relatively obscure Marvel Comics character like Iron Man, which I know comic book fans know Iron Man, but he wasn't like big like Superman or Batman or Spider-Man or Wonder Woman, that he and Black Panther and Thor and the Guardians of the Galaxy would be massive successes, huge cultural phenomenons. You would think I was crazy. You think I was out of my mind. The book for nerds like the Lord of the Rings and these weird, Thor is like this weird kind of trippy comic. These aren't going to be hit movies. What are you talking about? Not only are they hit movies, they redefined our culture, our pop culture, and even how films are produced. That they need to be not just a linear series, but like spread out. That you have like this web, like a Spider-Man web of different movies and media that all emulate from this intellectual property. How did they do that? They didn't do that by making the films, let's widen their appeal. They shot right for the core fans. So we're going to make the film that you like, and the sense of a wanting to be part of a phenomenon, want to be part of a community, want to be part of an event. Steamrolled those movies, the Tolkien movies, the Marvel movies, and all of them into massive moneymakers and mainstream moneymakers. This is what baseball needs to learn from that. People are dying to have collective experiences. We're drooling for it, not just to unify us all and, politically, socially, and all this other stuff, but it's fun to have that collective experience. It's a fun thing that we all can enjoy and enjoy together. That's one reason why people like to wait in line and can't wait to see even the trailer or watching reaction people watching the movies. It becomes a collective group. And if you get the core audience excited, it builds upon it. I was never a golf fan. My dad loved golf. And when I would sit and watch golf with my dad, it was infectious. Some people say they like watching baseball with me because I get really into it. If you build on that, you will see that the baseball popularity will expand because it is a collective, fun experience that you want to be part of. And the way you need to do that is to simplify the way it's consumed. You need to have it in one place. You cannot be playing whack-a-mole. As people are trying to join this, and then a lot of people watched this last World Series and said, "Oh my God, this is fantastic." And then you say, "Okay, go watch the game. It's all over the map." It's got to be a scavenger hunt to try to figure out where the hell the game is. Can't do it. You need to have it in one centralized place. And I've said it before and I've said it again. Big time baseball fans will pay the extra money to have it in one spot. And the ownership of MLB having all of it in one spot will only have it grow. You're into baseball, subscribe to MLB. Next thing you know, you got all the games. And if you say there is a premium price to pay, of which that subscription fee, a little bit will go to Apple, a little bit will go to NBC, a little bit will go to this because it'll help offset that. But all of those broadcasts go into one central place. That's what baseball has to do. Where's the game? There are a lot of other options that if you can't find the game in 1, 2, 3 clicks, you're watching something else. And baseball has to avoid that. Baseball could be the Avengers. Baseball could be Black Panther or the Two Towers, which is the second Lord of the Rings film, in case you don't know what I'm talking about. Because they have that rabid fan base, that crazed fan base, that fan base like you who are listening to a baseball podcast the day after Thanksgiving. And the best way to build on that is to make sure people know exactly where to find it. There's no confusion of where to find those movies. There's no confusion of where that content is. That's what I think baseball is. It's content. It's daily content. Of all the sports, you have a new game every day. And when you think about, if you're a baseball fan and a rabid one, you're willing to pay a couple $100 for that subscription fee. Do you know why? I know I'm watching not just 162 games, it's 162 games times 15. It's actually becomes a pretty inexpensive piece of entertainment. Now, not everyone's going to go for that big subscription right away, and that's why they can find it on Netflix and everything like that. But the key is to get them so hooked on the game that they'll buy that subscription package, and that's always there. I think about some people who don't have all the subscription to all these different. I don't have subscription to all these things, and if you're my mom or other people who are looking for the game and which the game is their highlight of the day, you don't want them searching around all throughout creation to find it. That has to be the goal. If you're putting it all over the map, put it all over the map. But if that centralized place becomes MLB TV or it becomes ESPN, fine. But make sure it's in one place. And from that acorn shall that's how you will grow the popularity of the sport, which is on an uptick. People like the community of that. People like dressing up as Iron Man or Kylo Ren or whatever, going to a big movie coming out. People like wearing the uniforms of their favorite player and going to see the game. And people like the sense of here's something that's live that we can all watch together and enjoy. There's not a lot of those things happening in the world now. We need them more than ever, but we can't have confusion of where it is. Now, if this is a short-term deal to try to figure out the way to do this, then do you know what? I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. But then once you figure out the best platform for it, jump on that one. And then watch the money flow in. And then you'll look at a work stoppage and say, it's work stoppage. We're making too much money. Listen to me. When have I been wrong? Okay, that time. Oh, yeah, the other time too. All right, I'll admit when I'm wrong, but I'm not wrong here. It's a short-term plan. Okay. We have a couple years of confusion. Fine. Then simplify it. Because at that point, I think Major League Baseball should just own it, literally. But if you're gonna have a partner with someone like ESPN or NBC or Netflix or wherever it is, find the best partner and then run with it. And then make your money and then watch it grow and watch a whole generation get hooked on it. And then you look up and go like, wow, we had a collective experience, which is what sports should be. By the way, we're going to keep the previous trivia questions. So the episode that's going to drop on either Sunday or Monday. What pitcher was credited with the first postseason victory in Marlins history? That one is still alive. And thanks so much for making your first listen and making Locked On the #1 sports podcasting network. Talking about the complicated TV deal and why it needs to be simplified. This has been Locked On MLB. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.